speak for what's going on with other teams. I don't know what the rooms look like and how those guys have performed, but he's earned the starting spot for us. I know that he was really the starter from the day he walked in the door, but he's done everything to things that we cannot prepare for that are going to come at us. And we're going to have to depend on, really the foundation that we've built here, the relationships we form with each other, the standards we keep for each other. And that's what's going to pull us through whatever comes our way this year.
Coach Joe,
both of the players talked about your comparison to Coach Saban and Coach Harbaugh. Who did you get your coaching pedigree from in terms of making you the coach that you are today?
That's a fun question, to be honest with you. I'd start with my dad. He coached me all growing up, so I think a lot of the intangible stuff starts with him. I then went to a junior college, and Aaron Flores was my offense coordinator, quarterback coach, and he was really the first one that gave me the confidence I needed. From there, I went to Nebraska. Bill Callahan and Jay Norvell taught me timing, taught me the details of quarterback play, really gave me my first look into what a pro system looks and feels like. It was unlike anything I'd ever been around. And that's probably what propelled me into coaching. Being around my dad as a coach probably had a little bit to do with it, but being around those two guys, Jay Norvell and Bill Callahan, they taught me so much. It was like, well, this is a waste if I don't use it at this point. And then I go work for my father-in-law, Mike Sherman. And, that's my first time in the profession. And he just taught me the ins and outs, and it wasn't easy. He didn't make it easy for me. He challenged me in a way that created faster growth, probably because he put more responsibility on my plate, because I think he trusted me. But with that said, I had to earn that trust because I felt it every day that I was the son-in-law that was there that maybe had a GA job just because of that, and you feel like you got to earn your way. And so just being around those guys, I'm sure I missed some, but those guys had a great impact on me and my whole coaching career up to this point.
How different a quarterback, coach, is Joe Burrow now from the first time he walked into the building? I mean, there's been obviously a growth curve, and he seems to be every single day, he gets better, he digests things. And having played the position, is there any kind of a fast track you can put a guy on, or is it just up to the guy individually if he can fast track himself?
They're all different, and you have to take it day to day. What are we ready to put in today? What are we ready to challenge him with today? This is the first real game week, where you're really in the game plan mode to see how guys handle that, rookies handle that. I think his questions evolve, as we talk about different schemes that happen in the NFL and different timing and receivers running different routes. Those kind of questions come up. But, again, you just take it day to day and let it flow from there.
Zach, I know not every practice probably goes the way you want it to go, but did you get done in camp all the things you hoped to get done?
We really did. We really did. And we maximized every day that we had and felt like we were able to get the work in that we set forth at the beginning of training camp to get in. Our guys handled it the right way. They feel prepared. I think they feel confident. And so it was a productive training camp, challenging at times for sure, but our guys handled it the right way and it was very productive.
You've been around the league long enough to know that even under the most normal circumstances, nobody ever knows what the hell is going to happen in an opener. But given this, do you have any idea? Is it going to be more like a preseason opener, or is it going to be, any idea what it's going to be like?
No, we're expected to be just like week one. We try to find ways to simulate those preseason games as best we could. We can only control what we can control, and we have to have our guys ready. They got to be locked in. Really today was a bonus day for us, but our guys felt like it was game week right now, and you could feel that intensity and the focus, and we got to keep building on that every day this week.
During the course of work, did you guys say, wow, looking at these guys, we're able to do this instead of that? Was there a little bit of a change in what you might have thought, or was it pretty much, no, we had this nailed from day one, what these guys can do and what they can't do kind of thing?
This week one is certainly going to be unusual because everybody can evolve over the course of the offseason and training camp, and no one really knows what it's going to look like. So you do your best to gather the information and be prepared for the schemes that you believe you're going to see. They could change. You got to be ready to evolve, just as they have to be ready for us to show what we show. And again, it is what it is. Every team's in the same position. And again, you've got an entire offseason to evolve your schematics, and it should be a fun week one.
How does AJ Green's hamstring feel, and do you expect him to be full go come Sunday?
He looks good to me today. Yep. So it's good to have him back in the fold.
Is that a thing where, considering he hasn't been able to get full practices really in, you got to consider some sort of rotation or limiting of snaps a little bit on Sunday, just because, I mean, putting a guy like that out there for 70 snaps when you haven't done it can be dangerous? Is that something you guys have to consider?
I don't think we ever want our receivers to really get 55 is a lot of snaps. And you always want to monitor that. We're fortunate right now. We have, you guys, we're deep at receiver. And we feel like there's a lot of guys that can step in there and be a primary receiver. And obviously AJ Green's AJ Green. There's no replacing him. But our guys have had a strong training camp. And Bob McNell and Troy Walters have done a great job preparing those guys to where, guys can step up. And it's really a time where you call a play and you don't necessarily have to look to see who's out there to make sure what play you're calling. It's you feel the confidence that all those guys can execute their jobs.
You've waited a very long time to coach AJ in a game. Have you thought about what that feeling is going to be like on Sunday, and how excited are you to have him as an asset?
He's a tremendous weapon, and he really attacks. He helps you attack defenses, and he's somebody they got to be concerned about. And not only that, but is he a great weapon? But he takes the pressure off all the other receivers, to go and just make plays as they come to him. And so he's just a tremendous weapon to have.
You were pretty critical of that unit as a whole throughout last season, and the numbers have kind of showed that they've struggled over the last couple of years. I mean, how big is that for this unit to collectively show that they are what the preseason hype says they are?
I'm biased, just the standards are so high for that. That's really the background that I've had as quarterbacks and receivers, and so I think when you come from that background, you're always going to have a certain feel for that room and always challenge them. And in some ways, it never feels like it's good enough because you always expect so much from them. And that's really the approach we take this year. At the same time, we let those guys know when they're doing it the right way, and it's not all critical. We want those guys to be confident out there on game day, and I think that they certainly feel that from us.
Joe hasn't had AJ, T. Higgins, John Ross in the huddle at the same time, pretty much all the camp, or at the line of scrimmage at the same time. Any concerns, hesitations there, or the fact that he got into rhythm and sync so quickly with guys, they did at training camp, that he shows he can do that pretty easily?
We've tried to be creative with how we've gotten to work with all those guys and his rhythm and timing with each receiver. Sometimes that can be in individual routes. Sometimes it's in group install. Other times it's in an 11-on-11 when everybody's in huddle. But it's all the pieces kind of work together, and sometimes you can get that one-off work, and they don't always have to be in the huddle together.
Zach, you mentioned that you could feel it was a little bit different this week now that it's game week. What specifically could you feel that was different with the team?
Just a different energy. There's no more Sundays that are going to come by. It's the next Sunday we're playing. And so we got to be on top of the details, and that's what we've been challenging our guys with all training camp. This week is really no different in that regard. It's just you feel that the game is coming. We're out there on the field, around the same time that we'd be kicking off, a little bit earlier, but guys can feel the weather. Guys can feel what it's like to run around that turf. Guys feel like what it's like to have no fans in stands, so it all feels very, very similar to what we're going to be dealing with. And we've done our best to put those guys in those positions so that it feels normal on Sunday.
This is obviously the most unique lead up to a week one game that any of us can remember, given what we've dealt with. I mean, we looked back a few months ago, Zach, and we weren't even sure this would happen. Is there an extra bit of gratitude to having a season, knowing that maybe a few months ago you guys didn't know what was going to happen?
I really don't think we ever allowed ourselves to think that way. We always proceeded as if we were playing, and until someone told us otherwise. And so while that was certainly a public conversation with people, it was never a private conversation with us. It was, let's move forward, make sure we're prepared to get all the things installed and run that we need to do and be ready to play week one, September 13th. And I'm fortunate that we had that mindset because it's held true.
You've broken down tape and studied tape with a lot of great football minds during the course of your career. Is Joe Burrow amongst the best in that regard?
It's still very early, but the things that you love about Joe are his intangibles, his approach, how he processes the information, how he leads his teammates. Right now more so through example than anything else, because he does it the right way. He doesn't make sure he's the only voice out there because he is still a rookie who's earning his way. But those are all the things that you appreciate, and I want to be slower to make comparisons with some of the all-time greats until he's out there and actually playing a real football game. But so far, all the intangible stuff we've seen off the field has been what we expected.
What are you most curious to see, Zach, week one from Joe Burrow? What are you most curious to find out about him?
Lead the team and score a lot of points. That's all we want to see, and Again, we've tried to find as many ways to manufacture that in practice and put together scoring drives. We feel like it was what it's like to drive all the way down the field and finish a drive off. Again, it's until you actually play in a game, you don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but just lead this team and score points.
Did you like the way that Jonah progressed through camp, and what did you maybe like the most about how he kind of handled his business during camp?
Yeah, he's it's exciting to have him out there. You know, he's really been an asset for us. Again, it's the good news is you don't notice him all the time, which is a positive. He's just doing his job. He's just out there doing his job. You know, it's not, hey, Jonah, why'd you do that? What were you thinking there? It's just a guy out there that does his job. And that's what I like to see from my linemen.
Did Joe Burrow get to have that moment where you told him that he was going to be the starter? And if so, what happened in that moment? That
moment was a long time ago. And that's so long ago. It seems like years ago, to be quite honest with you. He likely approached it how he approaches everything. Very matter of fact, let's get to work, you know, and I don't think there was any major celebrations going on. You know, those are his expectations for himself, and we move forward.
The tweaks that you made to the roster, now that you got to take a look at them today, you know, actually, you know, on the hoof as such, what are your impressions?
Not quite. We really only had Christian out there today. You know, we still have another day with some of those other guys. So Christian Covington was the only new one.
Okay.
We just got off the field, so, you know, you get a chance to review all that stuff. But, you know, so far, great attitude, great mindset. He's, you know, I know he and Nick have really hit it off and gotten a lot installed so far.
Are you anticipating potentially doing anything more to the roster, or is it too early to tell?
I think it's, you know, we're first in the claim word of the first 3 weeks, and we have to be smart about it and evaluate every guy that comes across the wire. But with that being said, very happy with the 53 guys and the practice squad guys we got. It's a good unit. We know what to expect from all these guys. They've been in our system outside of Christian, and it seems like he's a right enough guy to get caught up very quickly. So really excited about where our roster's at.
Kind of along the same lines, I guess, are the first few weeks kind of an evaluation period extended in that respect, almost like a little half kind of preseason where you're still kind of looking at some guys because you didn't really get to see them on the field and see if it lives up to what you hope the practice type would turn into?
It may end up playing out that way after we play games, but that's not the mindset going into it. It's what do we got to do to beat the Chargers, and how do we get our guys to focus and be prepared? You know, and if there's evaluations that are a byproduct of that, so be it. But that's not the mentality we have approaching the week.
When's the last time you coached against the Chargers, Coach?
2018.
2018.
Yep. Week three or week 2.
Did you watch a good amount of, I mean, between the Rams and Sean and the Chargers, did you watch a good amount of Hard Knocks this offseason?
I did. You got to use every resource that's at your disposal right now. So, yeah, it was fun to watch.
Got any more questions for Coach?
Obviously, you got a great look at Herbert at the Senior Bowl, and you know, y'all spent a lot of time vetting QBs. How important was it for y'all when y'all went through the draft process to get a guy who could start week 1? I mean, was that the ultimate goal? So we need someone to come in here and start immediately?
No, it was who's the right guy for this franchise. And we certainly don't expect to ever pick that high again. And so you got to make sure you do research and get the right guy, and we feel good about it. And he's certainly a tremendous player to put himself in that conversation, as is Tyrod Taylor. You know, I've had a ton of respect for Tyrod over the course of his career. Feel like I've played him several times. He was in Buffalo when I was in Miami. And the guy just is a really good leader. You always see that, takes great care of the ball. He's a guy that we've really got to be honed in on because he's played this long for a reason, and he's a really good quarterback in this league.
Coach, you're in the Mutual Admiration Society, one of 32 guys that get to coach in this league. Talk about Coach Len from San Diego, still by age now, Los Angeles Chargers, what you like about him.
I don't really know him personally, but I know people who have been around him and worked with him, and really good football coach, really good person, treats everybody the right way. I think players enjoy playing for him. Coaches have enjoyed working for him, the ones I've heard from. So just a really good person to coach in the profession.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that looks like it'll do it. Thanks for your time.
Great.
Thanks.